You know, the funny thing with this board up here behind me is that sometimes you get movie titles that are so long, it's kind of hard to figure out which words to fit in there. Not this time. Hello everybody and welcome to my review of Us. No, I am not reviewing you and me, I'm reviewing the new movie from Jordan Peele. So Us tells a story of a family of four who go on vacation. They're in their little vacation home and all of a sudden a similar looking family appear. So similar in fact that they are them. So these evil versions invade the home and start causing a bit of havoc. And that's pretty much where I've got to leave it, because after that, it goes into spoiler territory, and I don't want to spoil a single thing with this movie, but at the same time, it's one of those films that's going to be a little bit tricky to talk about, but I'm going to do my best. So look, needless to say, I was really looking forward to this film. Jordan Peele, it's just amazing that he's gone from being this hilarious comedian on the Key and Peele show to directing these amazing films. I mean, Get Out was a huge, critically acclaimed film. Audiences loved it. It's kind of rare these days to find a movie that audiences and critics actually like. And, you know, after one movie, he's pretty much gotten to this point where people are really anticipating what he's going to do next. So when this movie came out, the trailers looked incredible. It really gave me this feeling of wanting to know, what's going on? What is the story behind these doppelgangers and what's going to happen once they move into this home and confront this family? And I was very intrigued because the movie goes for 2 hours and all of that happens, kind of in the first to second act. So I was very intrigued as to where the story was going to go after that. So as far as things I liked about the movie, Lupita Nyong'o as Adelaide, the mum of the family, my God, she was amazing. She was great as the mum, but also as the evil doppelganger. She was really terrifyingly creepy. Everything about her mannerisms, the voice she was putting on, the way she was talking, just her entire body movements, every single thing about her performance was absolutely amazing. And you just know that the Oscars and everybody are all just going to overlook this incredible performance, but it's such a shame because she was absolutely brilliant. But as the mum, she also gave a really solid three-dimensional performance, because as a kid, as we see in all these flashbacks, she kind of had a traumatic experience as a child, and that carries on into her life. And the way that she, addressed all those feelings and everything was just so believable. Winston Duke as Gabe, the dad, I thought he was great as well. He injected a little bit of comedy into his performance, but it wasn't unjustified. It wasn't just comedy for the sake of being there because this was written by Jordan Peele. This guy was just, kind of like me, kind of like a lot of people I know. He was a funny guy, he was just this everyman character that you could relate to, and any time that he was dropping humor, even in parts that you may kind of think, was that appropriate? But then you sort of think, that's who he is, that's his character, and it wasn't just sort of jokes being in there for the sake of being jokes. The dialogue in this film was all really natural. I thought the kids were great as well. And once again, the way that they switch between, the good and the evil versions of themselves. As far as child performers go, they were absolute knockouts. But the real star of this movie is Jordan Peele. Even though he's not in it, I'm talking about his directing. This guy really knows how to get the most out of his performers in terms of, like I said, the believability, and his script was just cracking, and the way that they delivered the lines, everything about it was just so solid. His camera work was great, editing was great, everything. This was a really well-made film. The score was incredible as well. It utilized a lot of not just your typical orchestral sort of of stuff, but some electric instruments as well. You know, there was a bit of electric guitar in there and stuff like that. And yeah, it was a really great score. And not only that, being a horror movie, I mean, Get Out, you know, was kind of a mixed bag of genres. Like, a lot of people say it's a horror movie, but I don't know, it had a lot of sci-fi and thriller and all sorts of things in there. This one was definitely leaning more towards straight horror. And yeah, Peele did such a fantastic job of really making a creepy film. I mean, yeah, there were a couple of jump scares in the film, but they weren't false jump scares. You know, these days in horror movies, like when someone peels a banana and you hear this loud brrr sound, and it's like, oh my god, they peeled a banana, that's so scary. Well, this time around, the jump scares were justified, and there was only a couple of them in the film. Like, overall... What, Bubba? You gotta shush. And there was only, I think, 2 big jump scares in the film. Overall, yeah, it just relied on the creepiness, you know, real, true horror. That kind of feeling when you're sitting in your chair and you just almost don't want to look at the screen because the tension is just building so much. But while this movie was really competently made and, yeah, had great scares, great performances, great everything... there were a lot of problems I had with this film at the same time. Now, as much as I said that Peele's writing was great, yeah, that was mostly for the first and second act. The second act, it did lull a little bit. I thought there were a couple of moments where I wasn't bored, but I was kind of like, I wonder what's going to happen next. Please? But then when it gets to the third act, and look, a lot of critics have been saying the same thing here, that it needed more ambiguity. You know, this film, it should have had a lot of stuff pertaining to the plot that you could go away and, you know, talk with your friends and discuss what happened and throw in theories and speculate about what you'd just seen. Whereas this movie just basically tells you everything that happened, and I didn't really agree with a lot of it. Now, again, this is stuff I can't really elaborate on because of spoilers. If you've seen the film, you kind of know what I'm talking about, but there were so many plot holes in the big reveal of what was actually going on. I mean, seriously, plot holes to the point where I was finding the whole explanation a little bit hard to believe. I mean, it's one thing to suspend disbelief in a movie like this. You just have to. And I've never had a problem with doing so. But in this one, once the big reveal happened, it just left my mind racing with, but how could this have happened, and why was this, you know, all those sort of things that just, yeah, let it down for me. And there was also something that you find out at the end about one of the characters that, yeah, I don't know, I didn't really agree with it. It is the sort of thing that it's going to make me want to see the film again, mainly because it's kind of going to be a bit of a different film the second time around. And yeah, I do want to have that experience, but yeah, I don't know. Just the whole third act just really did let the film down for me a bit. Which is such a shame because it was doing such a great job till it got to that whole ending. I just think, yeah, if they just left it a lot more vague and, you know, left a lot more ambiguity in there, it would have been a vastly better film. Because throughout the whole thing, like, it did have me, you know, going through my brain, like, you know, trying to peel apart the layers, no pun intended, because, you know, taking into account Jordan Peele's political siding, like, you know, when you look at the fact that the bad guys are wearing red, I thought, okay, is this sort of something to do with, you know, Republicans and Democrats or whatever? But yeah, in the end, I don't know, I was probably overthinking things. But look, you know, despite its flaws, it's definitely worth checking out. Like, I didn't dislike the film by any means. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I probably would own it on Blu-ray. Maybe not day one. I'd probably wait till it's a little bit cheaper. But I would definitely recommend going and seeing it, especially if you love horror movies, genuine horror movies that will actually scare you. And I'm going to give Us a 7 out of 10. Alright, Alrighty, since I'm probably the last movie reviewer on the planet to actually publish a review of this film, I'm assuming you guys have seen it, so I'll throw it over to you guys. Let me know what you thought of Us. And if you want to leave any comments pertaining to spoilers, make sure you put spoiler and then like a few lines down, just in case anyone reading the comments doesn't accidentally fill their eyeballs with spoilers, because we don't want that. So let me know what you thought of the film. Drop me some comments either here, Facebook, or Twitter. All the social media links are in the description below, because I like to talk about movies and I would love to talk about movies with you. Catch you next time.
Click subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest movie reviews. Skynet will be taking over any day now, so what have you got to lose? Nyah.